Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 14th November 2023, brought to you by Ganesh IS Academy. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. Mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look at it. Okay, let's get into the analysis of each and every topic one by one. A sustainable solution for stubble is to create a market for paddy straw and convert the waste into wealth. So the news is related to creating a market for the straw, that which is the solution that has been quoted by the Niti Aayog member during his conversation with the Indian Express editor. So we'll look into the conversation between them. So since the news is related to agriculture, under prelims it is related with economic and social development, sustainable development, poverty, inclusion, demographic, social sector initiatives. Similarly, under mains it is related to GS paper 3, agriculture, under a subtopic called major crops, cropping pattern, various parts of the country, different types of irrigation and irrigation system storage, transportation and marketing of agriculture produce. So under this topic only it has been linked with. Okay. During the conversation between the Niti Aayog member as well as the Indian Express editor, what the Niti Aayog member has said is that to reduce the stubble burning, there need to be a market for the straw which has been produced as a result of the harvesting of the paddy, and then even by introducing the crops with high yield and the low duration crop also will most of the times it will not be reducing the stubble burning incidents, but by creating a market for straw, that is creating a demand for straw by creating a suitable environment so that the market will be nurtured for the straw, so that the farmers, instead of burning those straw, they will be selling it to the market so that they could be able to earn a revenue. So this is what one of the solution that has been quoted by the Niti Aayog member to reduce the stubble burning in Punjab area. And secondly, so where are all the irrigation has been provided along with the subsidized power supply, there has been increased paddy production, where there are the diesel generator or the diesel made or the diesel produced diesel fueled generators, there are lesser amount of paddy production which has been quoted by the Niti Aayog member. So by metering the water supply to the farmland, we could able to reduce the excessive usage of water to the paddy field, so that by metering the water supply to the agriculture production, the crops could be diversified, so that the relative paddy production will get decreased. Correspondingly, the diversified, that is the other crops, will also get increased. The other crops harvesting will also get increased. So these are all the techniques that has been quoted by the Niti Aayog member. And what is the case of Punjab during the before the 1990s? Because after 1990s only the stubble burning incidents began to crop up. But before 1990s, the stubble burning what the Punjab farmers used to do is, they will be used to keep the stubbles at one side of the field, so that the rain will be the natural rain that is been reaching the land will turn the stubble into a decomposed product. Secondly, there has been during the areas that is present near the Himachal Pradesh, there has been more number of packaging industries. These packaging industries will be buying the straw for their production need. Thirdly, the Kashmiri pastoralist tribe, those who are arriving during that time, will bring their livestock along with them, so that the straws will be eaten up by those livestock which has been brought by the pastoralist tribe. So this was the condition of Punjab before 1990s, but after 1990s, because of the introduction of the agri related reforms like promoting irrigation through subsidized power supply, the crop burning got increased because of the increased paddy production, which in turn led to more number of stubble waste, thus leading to the stubble burning, increased stubble burning incidents. So and at the same time, the Niti Aayog member also, what he is quoting is that even though, as I said at the initial point of the discussion, even though they are going to introduce high yield variety along with the low duration crop, it is not going to reduce the farm burning incidents. And at the same time, there has been reduced farm straw burning in the Haryana as well as Uttar Pradesh region because of the lesser rice production. See, the rice production in Haryana as well as Uttar Pradesh has comparatively reduced when compared to the Punjab, and similarly they have diversified their crop production. Secondly, within the paddy which they are cultivating, the basmati rice is being given more importance, so that the stubble that has been coming out from the rice has less silicon lignin, which is very useful for as fodder for the livestock. Thirdly, the Panipat is the good market for bioethanol, so that it is creating a demand for straw, so that the stubble burning incident is being reduced because of the market in Panipat by the bioethanol companies. So this is what the reason for reduced stubble burning in the Haryana as well as Uttar Pradesh region when compared to Punjab. So for waste to wealth of the paddy straw, what is the other technique the member is suggesting is that, see, to decompose the stubble, there need to be increased amount of addition of cow dungs that need to be added to the stubble, so that the decomposition will get faster, which in turn will act as a sustainable future for the gausalas. So one program is pointing out the sustainability of the gausalas, and at the same time the sustainability of the straws. So the straw, by mixing the cow dung with the straws, the decomposition rate of the straws will get enhanced, so that the stubble burning incidents could be reduced because of increased decomposition. On the other hand, the gausalas will also be made sustainable because of their increased demand for the cow dung. So this is what the another technique that has been quoted by the member of the Niti Aayog. So this is the one hand, and at the same time, what it has been said that because of the increased amount of paddy field, that is especially rice, the stubble burning incident is also getting rise, because the paddy will be producing more number of stubbles. But what the reporter has asked is that, can India afford to reduce the rice production? So if the stubble need to be reduced, means correspondingly the rice production need to be reduced. So what the editor has asked is that, can India afford to reduce the rice production, especially at a time when the world is facing food scarcity? For that, the Niti Aayog member, what he has said is that the price rise is not because of the shortage, but because of the global disruption in the food movement, global disruption in the transport of the products, as well as increased risk, as well as increased insurance cost. Secondly, the price rise is of temporary nature. So most of the time, the domestic problem will be the domestic price problem will be converted into international problem. For example, whenever there is the increased demand for rice in domestic arena means, and then there is no enough supply in the domestic arena for the rice means, surely India will be importing it from the international market. On the other hand, if India is producing surplus amount of rice means, surely India will be exporting that surplus amount of rice to the international market. So that, see, the international markets pooling of the paddy or any other agricultural products will be based upon the domestic requirement only, so that this price rise that is happening in the international market is correspondingly linked with the domestic situation, so that it is only temporary in nature. Whenever the domestic situation is changed, correspondingly it will be leading to change in the international situation, price. The situation means here it is price rise. So this is what the thing which has been said by the Niti Aayog member, and at the same time, in relation to the recent export bans to increase the domestic supply and also at the same time reduce the price rise that is happening across the food products, what the Niti Aayog member has said is that, see, the policy of the trade by the trade policy of the government is to balance the interest of various stakeholders who have been involved in it. For example, the policy, the export ban has safeguarded the interest of the consumers, so that the consumers' health and well-being will be safeguarded. On the other hand, it might be led to the losing of the revenue earning by the producer. On the other hand, whenever there is the cheaper amount of edible oil, cheaper edible oils that has been imported from the other countries, the government has imposed a duty of import duty of 30%, so that this edible oil, the cheaper edible oil that which has been imported from the other countries, price will be raised to the domestic price level, so that the local producers will not get disturbed. So that our trade policy is based upon the balancing of interest between the consumers as well as the producers, so that what is the main purpose to maintain the balance is that to maintain the welfare and also maintain the price within the band, so that it will not go above the band and at the same time it will not go below the band, so that it will be benefiting both the consumers as well as the producers. So this is what the trade policy of our government is about. Thirdly, finally, what the editor has asked is that what is the status of the doubling the forest income is about. See, the average growth in the production during the last 15 years has been 3.6%, and the term of trade in the agriculture sector relative to the non-agriculture sector is 50%, has gone up by 50%. Similarly, the agriculture GDP in the global share is also risen, and then it has, our growth rate is way higher than the Chinese agricultural growth rate in the past 10 years, and then nearly the 47% of income is coming from the non-agri source for the agriculture producers, according to 2017-18 survey. And then the recent survey which is yet to be released, what the Niti Aayog member said is that the non-agri source income, the non-agri income source for the agriculture producers would have reached 50%. So by taking this statistics into account, the farmers' income have risen in the past decade. This is what the information being given by the Niti Aayog member. And another question what the editor has asked is that, see, countries like Chinese as well as Vietnam have transformed their agri-based economy into manufacturing-based economy, but it has not happened in Indian economy. Why it has been? For that, what the member has said is that the Lewis model does not work in India. What does this Lewis model is? See, according to this model, the developing countries whose economy is majorly based on the agriculture sectors will transform themselves into the manufacturing sector to get themselves into a sustainable income, sustainable economy. But in India case, it has not happened. We jumped from the agriculture based economy to the service based economy, and nearly 50% of our GDP is coming from the service based industries. So that, for example, the 100 rupees values that has been produced in an economy, for example, the 100 rupees value that is produced in the service based economy will require lesser amount of manpower when compared to the 100 rupees values that has been produced from the manufacturing based economy. So this Lewis based model is not suitable for India. So Niti Aayog is right now informing the local level economic policy. And then what is the state of farm law which has been revoked by the government in the previous year? what it has said is that, see, there has been more number of model law with relation to agri. Since agri being a state subject, the states need to come up with the reforms wherever needed to fill up the deficiencies that is present in the model law, so that a comprehensive law could be made at the national level. Secondly, the ecosystem need to be provided so that the production need to be, the production becomes mostly of demand driven rather than the administratively controlled prices. The demand driven production will lead to a more sustainable way of earning, more sustainable way of agriculture production. So this is what the thing that has been suggested with relation to the agriculture sector by the Niti Aayog member. So what are all the things which we need to study further is, we should know about what is MSP, what is PDS system, and what is the scheme to promote the agriculture in India. So these are all the other things which we need to be aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Tracked while on bail, how GPS anklets work. So the news is related to, since the news is related to technology, under prelims it is related to general science. Similarly, under mains it is related to awareness in the field of IT, space, computer, robotics, nanotechnology, biotechnology, and issues relating to IPR. See, recently the prisoner in the Jammu and Kashmir has been released on bail after he was tagged with GPS system to monitor his movement when he is on bail. So which has been approved by the court. So what does this GPS tracker is about? It is these small wearable devices like a GPS collar which has been tied in the neck of the animals to monitor their movement, and also it provides the exact location of the person, those who are wearing this wearable device, and it is the tamper proof and it can't be removed without any kind of damages. So this is what the GPS tracker is about. And why the GPS tracker has been put on the accused name is to curb the narco smuggling as well as terror activity. Secondly, to monitor the person's movement and his meeting with any other terrorist related personalities. And at the same time, this GPS tracking system is the precondition for bail in most of the countries like US, UK, and Malaysia. So what is the legal provisioning or the position for this usage of technology is, there is no specific legal provision until now for usage of GPS anklets on the bailed person. Secondly, what the person, those who are opposing this GPS anklet are saying is that it violates the fundamental rights of privacy to a person. Thirdly, those who are backing the GPS anklets, what they are saying is that it is easy to get a bail and a UAPA. So these are all the things which has been related to the GPS anklet, which has been in use in today's newspaper. What need to be studied further is, we should know about what is geographical information system and what is remote sensing. Secondly, we should also be aware of IRNSS satellite, which is the India based native satellite which we need to be aware of. And with this, we have reached the end of this topic. October retail inflation drops to 4-month low of 4.87%. So the news is related to the data released by the National Statistical Office for inflation. Under prelims, it is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, GS paper 3, economic and development, under a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development, and employment. So the retail inflation for the consumers has eased to 4.87% in October, according to the data released by National Statistical Office of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. In this, the food inflation has stood at nearly 6.6 percentage, and now it completed the 4 years of the inflation being above than 4 percentage with the data. And then there has been decline in retail inflation, which was driven mostly by the non-food items, and the core inflation is also got reduced from 4.4 percentage to 4.6 percentage. So what is the reason that has been quoted because for this reduced retail inflation is because of the pickup of the consumer spending on the retail outlets, and at the same time there is some there is some volatile situation that is prevailing in the near future, that is below power monsoon rainfall is likely to have impact in the cereal inflation in the near future, so that the calculation of this food inflation is becoming right now becoming very unpredictable because of the agitation that is prevailing with relation to the price rise with relation to the food crops. Okay, let's have a look into what is this inflation is about. Inflation is nothing but the rise of the price of the goods and services, and it measures the average price change in the basket of commodities and services over time. And then inflation is nothing but an indicative of decrease in the purchasing power of the person, or the purchasing power of the rupee, or the country's currency. What is the importance for an inflation? Inflation at certain level is very important because it ensures that the expenditure in an economy is promoted, and then hoarding of money will be curtailed. So this is what the inflation is about, and a positive thing about the inflation. What are the different types of inflation is stagflation. Secondly, there is headline inflation, the price rise in the overall products in an economy. Core inflation is non-fuel, non-food based inflation and disinflation. So these are all the types of inflation that is prevailing in an economy. So what are the causes for inflation? First is the cost push inflation. The rise in the price of the factor of production will lead to the cost push inflation. Increased demand for a particular product will also rise the price of the particular product. Such kind of scenario is called as demand pull inflation. Increased liquidity that is prevailing in the system will also be responsible for the increased inflationary situation in an economy. And then built-in inflation, that is the attitude of the people. Most of the behavior of the people, or the person's behavior, will be in a way that he or she will be cautious about the future inflationary situation, so that their present behavior will be changed accordingly. Such kind of changing the behavior in the present situation will have an impact in the inflationary situation in the overall economy. So what is the effect of inflation? As previously I have discussed, it erodes the purchasing power, and it disproportionately impacts the lower income people only, because their percentage of spending in terms of food is already high when compared to their overall earnings. So because of the inflationary pressure, their percentage of spending in the food will get increased in comparison to their overall earnings. Thirdly, it increases the production cost, which in turn will be having the impact on the final output. And then it will increase the uncertainty, which in turn lead to reduced investment. That is, the inflationary situation will decrease the value of the country's currency, which in turn will lower the confidence of the investors, so that it will be leading to the overnight flight of the portfolio investment. And then the international competitiveness of the currency will get decreased, so because of the increased inflation, so that the products that has been produced locally will lose its competitiveness in the international arena. And then deceleration in the economic growth. So these are all the effect the inflation have in an economy. So what need to be studied further is, we should know about RBI. Secondly, we should also be aware of the Monetary Policy Committee. Thirdly, we should also be aware of the challenges in addressing the inflation in an economy. So as I previously said, one of the challenges is the prediction in the future food inflation is right now acting as the challenge for addressing the inflation itself. So these are all the things which we need to be aware of. And with this, we have reached this end of the topic. India, Asian Development Bank signed 400 million loan pact to build high quality urban infra. So under prelims, it is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it is related to GS paper 3, economy and development, under a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. So the India has signed a 400 million loan with Asian Development Bank to support its urban reform agenda. And this program is called as subprogram 2. Previously, the subprogram 1 was signed between ADB, that is Asian Development Bank, and India during 2021. So under which $315 million has been financed for establishing a national level policy and guidelines to improve the urban services. So under subprogram 2, what it aims is that it aims to support the reforms initiated by the states as well as urban local bodies in operationalizing the national flagship program of urban areas, that is Amrut 2.0, and then make cities livable and then make themselves into an engine for economic growth, and then support other mission objectives like ensuring the urban water security, and it envisages the integrated town planning. So this integrated town planning will enable to control the urban sprawl and then foster the systemic and planned urbanization through enhancing the ecosystem of legal framework, regulatory framework, as well as institutional reforms, along with the capacity building of urban local bodies. And at the same time, this planning will the integrated planning, what does it will incorporate is, it will incorporate the climate and disaster resilience, promote nature-based solutions, and improves the urban environment and improve the cities and financial sustainability through the generation of additional revenue to the urban local body. So this is what the positive impact of integrated urban planning. So this is what the news is related to. Okay, let's have a look into what does this Asian Development Bank is about. It is a multilateral development bank established on December 1966, and its primary mission is to foster economic growth and cooperation among the Asian countries that is present in Asia Pacific region, and it assists the members and partners by providing loans, technical assistance, grants and equity investment, and it provides financing to certain private sector projects as well as public-private partnerships. And it has been headquartered in Manila, that is in Philippines. And ADB Act as facilitates the policy dialogues as well as provides the advisory services to the country those who are part of. And from the 31 members during its initial period of its establishment in 1966, ADB has grown to nearly 68 members, of which 49 are from Asia and 49 from Asia and Pacific, and 19 are from the outside the region. So which is very important from prelims perspective. ADB is run by Board of Governors, which is represented by the member countries, and the ADB, the Asian Development Bank's structure has been formed in tune with the World Bank structure only, and it has 5 largest shareholders. In that, Japan and US occupies the first with a share of 15.6 each, and then Republic of China occupies 6.4 each, and then India 6.3, and then Australia 5.8. So this is what the shareholding of the countries in their decreasing order. So this is what the details relation to the news as well as the Asian Development Bank is about. So how the news, what are all the things which we need to be aware of is, we should know about what is Asia's infrastructure investment bank and then new development bank. Secondly, we should also be aware of what is World Bank and what is IMF and what is the difference between both of them. Thirdly, you should also be aware of what is 73rd amendment as well as 74th amendment, and what are the schedules, articles that has been included under this amendment. So these are all the things which we need to be further aware of, and with this we have reached this end of this topic. Okay, let's move on to today's practice prelims question. So mentioned on the board are the today's practice prelims question. I want those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. Okay, with this we have reached the end of today's session. Thank you.